I think we're going to get started here. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Janelle Tischer. I'm the first Vice President of Adcraft Club of Detroit and the Vice President of Category Solutions at the Walt Disney Company. On behalf of the entire Adcraft Board of Directors, thank you for your support and for joining us today. At 114 years old, Adcraft is the oldest advertising association in the country. We've remained vital, part of Detroit's marketing community because of members like yourselves. We're proud of our heritage and certainly the envy of many other clubs and markets across the country. As a nonprofit, we rely on the support of our members rather. So please remember to renew your membership when you receive the renewal notices via your email. If you're not an Adcraft member, we hope you'll consider joining us. It only takes a few minutes to sign up at adcraft.org. We offer many professional development events like today, along with networking and social events. We're excited to kick off this round of our hugely popular Day Show Tuesday Talk series with CNN's Chris Cuomo, followed by Shinola CMO Tyra Neal and Mother LA Executive Creative Director Joe Staples, with more great speakers to be announced in the next week coming in October. I'd like to thank Adcraft board members, Jeff Cruz and Lou Eklund. They have been our Day Show program chairs, and we appreciate all their hard work in pulling together speakers and really making today's events possible. Thank you both. If you haven't registered for the upcoming Tuesday Talk, you'll see some additional on the left side of the screen. It's not too late. Again, just visit adcraft.org to reserve your virtual seat. There's a couple of upcoming programs that I'd like to highlight as well. I'd invite you to join us for our virtual trivia nights on Tuesday evenings, starting October 6th. You can register individually or get your friends in on the action to create a team of 4. I mean, who doesn't love a little healthy competition? This event is free for Adcraft members, another reason to join, or it's $5 a week for non-members. Prizes are awarded weekly to individuals and teams with the highest score. Registration is now open, again, at adcraft.org. And now the reason that we're all here today, it is my pleasure to introduce Andrew Robinson, who will be serving as the moderator of today's fireside chat with Chris. Andrew is Adcraft's current president, 114th president, as well as vice president of Warner Media, Ad Sales Detroit, and head of national automotive sales. He is a seasoned veteran in the ad industry and certainly a major advocate for the Detroit community. He is committed to making sure that Adcraft is around for another 114 years. If you know Andrew, he's passionate about everything he does and that he sets his mind to. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Robinson. Andrew?
Thanks, Janelle. How's everyone doing today? Good to get back in front of the camera, at least in front of my computer, and see all the names scrolling on the right-hand side. Thank you so much for the support of Adcraft. I'm really excited today. We've done a few of these Day Show talks, but this one's very special to me because I get to bring my day job to my other job. So I get to work at Warner Media during the day and Adcraft at night, if you will, and get to bring these two things together for a great hour of conversation with someone that I've admired for quite some time, Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo anchors CNN's Cuomo Prime Time. It's a 9 p.m. nightly news program. And every night, Chris tackles the day's top headlines, chock full of spirited political and legal debates. He's talking every day with top leaders, politicians, and personalities in our country and across the world. Definitely people much more interesting than myself. He's been at CNN since 2013. Before CNN, Chris was co-anchor of the show 2020 and chief law and justice correspondent for ABC. Chris is a licensed attorney, and he received his law degree from Fordham University and undergrad from Yale. I also know Chris is a father of 3, and plays very, very strongly and deeply into everything that he does. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. All of these things surely shapes what he does and his craft. So without further ado, I want to introduce the man of the hour, Chris Cuomo. Chris, thank you for joining us. Good to see you.
What a pleasure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Well, it's not every day that I get to interview the interviewer. So you can tell me offline how I'm doing or how I did at the end here. But
just say, let's get after it a lot.
Let's get after it. Let's go. Here we go. Well, I want to thank you, and you're speaking to a lot of prominent members of the Detroit advertising community today. A few years back, we had your good friend Anderson Cooper come in and join us. And I know that you were here. I was able to spend some time with you when you came in for the Democratic debates that were also hosted in Detroit. Now we have you talking here. It's safe to say that Detroit is feeling the love from CNN. So wanted to thank you from Detroit and from the Adcraft community, and wanted to see if you could share any of your experiences in your last visit to Detroit.
I think that's what's very instructive to remember. Is part of the national dialogue now around the election is about who to blame, about what is happening in a lot of urban centers, not just with protests and any attenuated violence, but for the condition, for trouble. So Detroit was hard bit by what happened 2008, 2009. I don't know, it really started 2006 for that city. Now, the tale winds up becoming about blame, winds up being irrelevant, right? Nothing changes for people when there's a blame fight going on. And what you learn acutely it's awesome today to listen to the head of Shinola. That is a metaphor for what winds up being what is relevant. Blame, irrelevant. Change agents, relevant. And what you see in Detroit is the community had to find its own solutions. You know, you had some of the REIT guys coming in there and sweeping up all this housing all over the place. That was going to create an opportunity for gentrification that would have had some upsides, obviously, of liquidity for people that were getting bought up to the extent that they own their own properties, and it wasn't just bank-to-bank sales. But it came with a huge challenge of erasing the character and the face of those communities. So you saw communities come together and start to deal with problems, and local leadership having to be motivated. One of the mythologies in politics is that, well, you know, if you're Democrat run at the local level or Republican run at the local level, you're responsible for everything. No, every metropolitan area feeds up. What does the state do? What does the federal do for that metropolitan area? It's something we haven't figured out yet in transition. So in Detroit, you've got a good sense of organic culture, of people with pride. They were always stopping you in the community and telling you what was boarded up, but what wasn't, what was now functional, and the new things that had come up and how and why. A lot of local pride and flavor. And I've been there many, many times over the years, in good times and in bad. And I think that places like Detroit will tell the story of the future of this country in the next 2 decades.
I love that. I love that. You know, you hit on pride, and that really is that embodies this city and our industry here. You know, we're I don't want to say we're the little engine that could, but there's a lot of talent here and a lot of people that would like to tell you about that if you listen. So you're dead on there. And it really plays into kind of the theme of our day show series. It's connected by craft. We found that a lot of people, you know, in this town, in this industry, in this state, they have a lot of talents and they are passionate about it. I also know that you're passionate about what you do. How do your passions for journalism, politics, and law actually help you hone in on your craft as a lead anchor on CNN and frankly, one of our nation's most prominent news personalities?
The purpose is people. So just like in what you're doing, you're shaping your efforts as a function of the goal. My job is service to people. Not the way my brother does it or my father did it, where they were chosen by people to do a select position. and with an attached set of duties and responsibilities, we at CNN are proxy for people. One of the reasons that the media is, yes, ready, set up to have a liberal bias is because the media as an institution, even within the estate system, was a proxy for people. Now, what people are going to need a proxy? Powerful people? Rarely. They have a voice. They have access. It's going to be people without power. And we've seen that throughout the history of a free press, that you wind up fighting the battles of the little guy. You wind up holding power to account. Who's usually in power? The little guy? No. So it is set up to have a liberal bias. Now, that doesn't mean partisan, Democrat versus Republican, but you are, look, the way I do the job is to fight the good fight. Brother Lewis was a great mentor, John Lewis, and I loved his understanding of good trouble. And people are confusing that today because we're in division mode. But my job is to be a proxy for people. When people tell me, hey, I like what you do, whatever, I say, hey, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for letting me do the job for you. You know, I don't just report for you. I report to you. If you don't like it, it's over, right? We have this very, very obvious and heartless minute-by-minute metric of your relevance. And for all the ways we've learned to explain away things that we don't like in our own numbers, at the end of the day, there's a very easy way to say whether or not you're being accepted or rejected. So that's how I see it. Cuomo Prime Time was designed as a special purpose vehicle for depth and accountability to power for people. So, you know, some people say, well, what are you going to do in 4 or 2 years when Trump isn't in power anymore? And I say the same thing. There are battles always to be fought, left and right. Power does what power does. You change an R and a D, things don't change as dramatically as you think. Right now, we're in a period of political culture where you have fringe domination. You have to resist fringe negativity as a proxy for insight. The media caves to it all the time. The media will start reporting in mass on something that 50 people are talking about on Twitter. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. We lose a sense of who we're reporting for when we do that. Twitter is not America. Twitter is not regular society. Most of this country agrees on 70% of the budget items. Most of this country are center, center right, center left. That's where they are, okay? They're not looking to defund the police, and they're not looking to kick everybody out of the country who doesn't look like George Washington. We are together on a lot of things. So if you're about people, you think about them as, the client, but also your boss. What do they want? What does he want? What does she want? Where is she? What time of year is it? What's going on? What can I provide that hasn't been done excellently by the Edward R. Murrow of my generation, known as Anderson Cooper, and that won't be laid out in brilliant intellectual form by Rachel Maddow, and won't have the fire breathers listening only to Hannity. So it's tough. It's tough. I picked a very difficult position. It was not a strategic move for me. Staying at New Day was the strategic move. We built a good franchise, amazing brand awareness, making a lot of money for the company for the right reasons. We were doing good and we were doing well. And I was the man in the morning. There was nobody doing accountability in the morning except that morning schmo, who I had a bone to pick with because he rode the Trump train like nobody else. Then all of a sudden it became inconvenient, and all of a sudden he was for the people. Doesn't work for me. So I knew what I was doing in the morning. At night, it was a totally different field. So my focus is everything, is the simple answer to the question. How do I serve the people who are watching at that time? What do they need? What do they not get somewhere else? How do I apply everything I know, who I can reach to fill in the blanks, what I can use to be relevant, and what I live in my own life to all serve as a lens for that viewer?
That's excellent. And I think I understand what drives you to do what you do, but are there days that
winning is what drives me?
Winning?
Relevance and winning is what drives me.
I
I
love
want to do better in every measurable way, all the time, in every aspect of my life. I come from every proposition from a very basic starting point. I am flawed. I can do better. And I'm not going to spend my time thinking about why it went wrong, except to do better. How do I do the next right thing to get to a better place? It's all we control in life, to the extent we control anything.
I love it. Are there days that you wake up, you know, with the current news cycle, are there days that you wake up exhausted by it, looking to get away from it, to unplug from it, or is your beacon to always address it, talk about it, and bring the truth to light?
Let's get after it is aspirational. Homie, it is the dog-eat-dog world, and I am wearing milk-bone underwear, as Norm taught us in Cheers. This is Thunderdome, this media culture. The president actively wants me out of the way, and if I think he had his druthers, in violent fashion. And it is funny because of its absurdity, but it's true. The most powerful man in the world hunts people at CNN. They look for opportunities, and he has every piece of leverage and every advantage one could imagine. So every day is incredibly stressful from the perspective of simple reality. And that's before I even get out of my own head. You know, we are in the middle of a pandemic. We are in the middle of a social justice movement unlike anything we've seen since the 60s. We have an economy that is roiling in the uncertainty within a real strange marketplace. As a former mezzanine finance guy, this is a very odd marketplace. The bifurcation is scary. The money on the sidelines is enticing, but as you guys deal with all the time, companies are afraid about where to put their money to work and when. So this is all topsy-turvy, and we have people looking at each other and seeing their opposite in a way that I have not experienced in my lifetime, now 50 years. I've lived it abroad. I've lived it in Iraq. I've lived it in Pakistan. I've lived it in Afghanistan. I've lived it in Turkey. I've lived it in a lot of places, South Africa, Central Africa. Not here, where people look at each other as if we are inherently opponents. No good, un-American. So there's never been a more difficult time. And I'm getting my ass kicked by COVID. I'm one of these long haulers. So I'm getting better, I'm getting stronger. I just had a workout with one of my guys before here. Fitness is everything, right? Mind, body, spirit, especially in our kinds of positions. High pressure positions, performance driven, results oriented. You have to balance yourself out. If you're imbalanced, you're gonna break. It's just about when and just about how, but it's gonna happen. We all know it, we've seen it time and time again. So I'm trying to build back through the most obvious metrics. This long hauler thing, I'm pointing at it a lot on the show. It's not rating well. And I don't care, because I know it's true. I know that it is not just a novelty item. You know, where, oh, some people who do this, their hair falls out. It's a lot of people. If you know, when I say something's off the record, it's off the record. So people send me things. I say, I'm just trying to learn. I'm not going to use you. Don't worry. The famous people that you know and have seen who have sent me pictures of their blotchy head, beautiful people from COVID. Doctor doesn't know why. They just say time. I had a kid on my show last night, 9 years old. He's had 100 fever on and off for 4 months. You imagine, God forbid, that's your kid. Doctor says, he'll be all right. Yeah, easy to say. 4 months, your kid has 100 fever, sometimes can't get out of bed. I'm on it. Why? Because this is going to be our reality. We got bad stuff. Hard times make strong people. Weak people make hard times. Which are we going to be? We're in the vetting of that right now, every day.
Yeah, I watched your show last night, and it kind of leads to my next question. I'm glad that played into your answer there. And I know just from, you know, following you and hearing you talk previously to our teams, how important family is to you. and to, you know, to have a 9-year-old on your show like that, to, you know, to bring these issues up. Not everyone's talking about those things. And how important family is, you know, to all of us, likely on this call. And recently saw a CNN piece that you did around your son Mario and how he's changed your life. And it was incredibly touching. And I think if I can, I'll share the link to everyone on this call, so you can check it out after our chat here. And I highly encourage you to do so. My question is, how does Chris Cuomo, the dad, how does he address things at home to his 3 kids about what's going on today, about what's important, and maybe give us a few tips of, you know, you said you don't do everything correctly, but I think you've got a good handle on how to talk to people about the current events in this country. How do you do that at home?
I think, first of all, you know, as I said last night on the show, we're in an IDK WTF cycle. I don't know, and we know what WTF stands for. I, like you, I am in a state of intermittent befuddlement. I can't believe what people are vibing on and what they're not, what seems okay to say and what isn't, you know, what's right and what isn't, how fast it changes and how capriciously, and how we stay anyway rooted to what we once thought mattered. And now you get into a big battle of me versus we about, well, who do I want to be? And what am I about versus what am I told I have to be about? Now, it's more complicated for me because I'm a public person, right? I was just talking with my wife, who would be the real value in the conversation, by the way. She runs a company called Purist, P-U-R-I-S-T, well ahead of herself in the media space of wellness as a lifestyle, as an ethos. It's not just drinking expensive coffee or green juice that, you know, you want to throw up half, or at least I do. I don't know how she drinks half the shit she does. But it's as an ethos. You're going to paint your house. What kind of paint do you use? What's in it? What is the company? How do they hire? How do they employ? You're going to buy a new car. What kind of car are you going to buy? Is it environmentally sensitive? Is it not? Where is it made? Those kinds of things. Wellness as an ethos. She's well ahead of herself on it, and COVID really presented opportunities for her actually in business, where she's doing a lot of this for people, because we're all so desperate not to get sick, and once we're sick to get better, and there's no answer. So scary. So how do I deal with it at home? Family means something a little different to me than it may to some of you. Of course, I'm an Italian American. I was raised that way. Italian culture was everything. Ritual and the rite being R-I-T-E, Catholicism. And it remains that. It is a flawed religion because it is made by man, and all man is flawed. Male, female, we are flawed. We make mistakes all the time. We repeat mistakes too often. We beat ourselves up for mistakes instead of figuring out how to get better too often. This is not a digression. My approach to answering any question is about process and layers of understanding that get you to your resolution or your plan. So with parenting, family to me is as much about the family as I choose as the family that I have by blood, which is going to be strange for a lot of Italians. You know, we're a very tight people. We're an insular people. And I am very tight with my family, no question. But the family I've chosen, you know, I'm 50. I've had my friends. I'm not a new friend kind of guy. You know, I don't make a lot of new friends. I'm not easy in those kinds of social situations. I don't really want to socialize. You know, when I get together, it's about food, what's going on, who's in what kind of situation, how are we helping, how are we not helping, you know, who's got beef, this has to end, it ends tonight, you know, bring her here, bring him here, what did you say, you know, this has been 6 years now, enough, you know, if you want to hit him, let's just get it over with because I got something on the grill. And I believe in that. So I've known many of the people who matter to me for 30 years. So that's family to me. So what does that mean in the instruction of my kids? It means that, one, I talk to everybody straight. If you're 9 or you're 99, I talk to you the same way. I have no style. I have no personal style. I have no shtick. My shtick is, I guess, having no shtick. That's one of the choices I made about how to do television. There's very little veil. Now, I got to tell you something. That sounds good. It comes at a huge cost, because when someone comes at me, they're coming at the real me. You know, you talk about your kids, now they're coming at your kids. Those are your kids. This isn't the Cosby kids. You know, you didn't make this up. This isn't part of a persona. I am not a persona. The only difference between me and the me that you see on television is the amount of bad language, really, because Jeff gets, you know, mad at me if I say too much raw stuff. And I understand that. But my feeling is, look, I have as good a lexicon as anybody doing the job. The vulgarity is not in the word choice. The vulgarity is in the behaviors and the actions and the things that we're describing. That's the vulgarity to worry about. How we put kids in cages and why, for a message of harshness. That's vulgar. Me saying that's bullshit, that's not vulgar, that's obvious. So when I talk to my kids about these things, I'm straight, based on age appropriateness. The 10-year-old cannot handle what the 17-year-old is. 17-year-old needs a slap and to realize she's not as woke as she thinks she is because she puts memes on social media. And that if you really care about something, I don't care about you going gratuitously to some march with your friends and thinking you did something. Where are your black friends? What have you said to your black friends? What have they said to you? Who have you reached out to? What are you doing with your time during the pandemic? If I'm going to be chasing you for running around with people and exposing yourself in a way that now means my mother can't come to visit, I'd rather it be because you're going to help one of my friends. You know, I'm blessed with amazing people in my life. It was without question the biggest asset professionally and personally. I went to a school in Queens that was completely polyglot. It was all new immigrants and stuff like that. So I didn't grow up with a lot of these phobias that other people do. I didn't even grow up knowing I was white. My father used to joke, may he rest in peace, when I would get described as a function of white privilege and having to deal with that, he'd be like, hey, we made it. Because he was always described as a swarthy ethnic, you know, brown-skinned, hot-blooded, gap-toothed, dark-eyed, you know, that was how he was described as an ethnic. You know, he was denied opportunities in this country, as we're seeing being done once again to brown people because of who he was and how he was represented as a first-generation American. So the 17-year-old I talk about, I don't care about woke. I care about action. What do you do? Whom do you help? I don't care how cool it is to say something or not saying, and keep cancel culture out of my house. I don't want to hear who you think should be ended by something when you've done nothing. I don't want to hear it. The 14-year-old boy is about understanding the difference between culture and reality. I grew up in a very hip-hop, what is now hip-hop music culture. It was called rap then. They didn't like it being called hip-hop, by the way. I remember one of the early great hits from TCQ, Tribe Called Quest, not the lead, but the guy who did a lot of it, whose name is Kamal, you guys know him as Q-Tip. He wrote, rap's not pop if you call it hip-hop, stop. You know, there was a purity to it then. And it was urban speak, and it was outrage, and it was genius of how to expand reality. So when I hear my kid singing some rap song and there's an N-bomb in it, and so it's all over the place in the song, right? So it's going to come out of his mouth. I say, now look, now we got to have a discussion. It's not an acceptable word because of what its lineage is. Black people want to use it. That's on them because it's used against them. So the power principle is their own. And I know there's a lot of debate and controversy around that. There isn't with you. You're white. Don't use it. It's not, I don't care if your black friend gives you permission to use it. There's no such thing. Don't use it. And understand why. It is hurtful. It has a legacy of being hurtful. I've learned this lesson. When I said calling journalists fake is like the N-word for journalists, I meant it. I was wrong. And then I understood that. I apologized because that's what you're supposed to do. You know, we have bad modeling of that right now. And I have to tell you, I understand why. I tell this to my kids, you got to own it. You got to own it and deal with it because whoever you wrong will respect you as a result of that. And sorry is a word. I don't want to hear it. I want to see what you do. Don't apologize to me. I told you not to take the bike. I told you not to put the bike against my car. You did both. I should beat your ass, but I'm not allowed to because it's not politically correct. So I want to see what you do next. Don't tell me you're sorry. Let me see what you do the next time you do that same behavior. We are in an odd time with this stuff. And we have to figure out what the rules are and how to live by them. And that's what I tell my kids. And I say at the end of the day, the simple things still apply. You have to love mercy. It is the foundation of your faith. I come to faith by extension of my background and my flaws. You know, many Christians proselytize as if it gives them a position of moral superiority. I don't like that. I have faith in my life because I need it to cope with my shortcomings and my consistent lackluster inadequacy. It helps me. It helps motivate me to have an understanding of something bigger than myself, to motivate better parenting, better loving mercy, understanding compassion as strength, understanding forbearance as strength, understanding that I have to trust that if I'm doing things for the right reasons, the right way, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. My faith helps me sustain that. It doesn't make me better than you. If anything, it's an indication that I'm worse and I need it. So that's what I teach my kids. Look at me, be real about me. I'm no Superman. When people come up to me and say, oh, thank you, I say, there's twice as many who hate my ass here right now. They're just not saying it because I'm bigger than they thought. And that's how I deal with my kids. This school thing right now, last point, I hate it. My brother and I are sideways about this on a regular basis. My kids should be in school. This Zoom shit is terrible. They're horrible at it. And my wife and I, she can't run her business. My whole day is a function of running into different bedrooms because God forbid they do it outside where anybody else is, you know. And what time's the class? Oh, you know, I'm looking at my phone. Wait, you were supposed to be on the class. Did you hand that thing in? Did you? I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to. Wait, I'll be right back. Down the stairs to somebody else. It's terrible. They should be in school. They should be in school. Why aren't they in school? Lack of leadership, playing to fear, not worried about who's paying the consequences, and short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. If they had the rapid testing to give us a little bit of a better sense of awareness, and you look at a cross-section of the research about who's getting sick and how you control it, they'd be in a better space. The big shot's here over my shoulder right now. She must have a break. Do you have a break?
Yeah, I have my lunch.
Do you? Do you need something from me?
No, just saying hey.
Oh, I love you. You're very nice. She's going into her last year of high school, so we got to figure out the whole college thing. Her senior year is being compromised by this crap that we're dealing with. The college process. Oh, that's cool. She's got a shirt on that's from the periodic table, and it's
from that place.
AH, the element.
We can zoom camera angle.
She's not camera ready, man.
Oh, yes. You know what? I don't have to be.
There's like a ton of people on this call.
Okay, I don't have to be because Zoom has a touch up my appearance filter that makes it look like I have nothing on my face.
There you go.
She's stomping out. She's stomping away now like she just won.
Just like us. He's a principal. He's a teacher. He's doing multiple duties these days.
What a joke. The kids should be in school. We should have the testing. We should have the resources. We should have the leadership. They should be in school. So now we're all having to teach our kids about accountability. I'm trying to teach my 5th grader personal accountability. Come on. You know, when we send these kids to colleges and we're surprised that they go to parties and they hang out. What do you think? Throw a steak to a dog and then say, hey, you know, you really should smell that first and wait a couple of minutes before you. What do you think it's going to do? And this is a mistake of leadership. This is on us. I apologize to my kids for what's going on here. I apologize that I wasn't able to be more influential to have us make a more intelligent decision than this. I'm telling you, we're going to pay for these kids not being in school for a long time because you know what's going to happen? The opportunity gap is going to expand because now you got kids like my kids who go to great schools, who have one set of IT, have one set of thinking and strategy coming their way. And then you get the kids in the public schools where it's not going to be matched. The class sizes are bigger. It's even more of a burden. The opportunity gap is going to expand. It's going to screw up the college application process. So upsetting, it pisses off the dogs. Shut up.
We've actually in this household, we talk about that a lot, just how, you know, and with my kids going, my son goes to a Catholic school and going back to school, it's almost like a little bit, you know, pardon the expression, a little survivor's guilt. And what it does is it widens the gap even further, the exact opposite of what we should be doing.
Definitely will. And I'll tell you what, the Catholic schools especially, a couple of good friends of mine are Passionist priests, you know, like Franciscans, Jesuits, Passionists. The Passionists spend most of their time in really bad areas. The Passion of the Christ is suffering, right? So they just got put out in Montauk. I live in East Hampton. They just got put in Montauk. So I'm so pumped because I'm going to get to see these guys. I'm on their advisor board. And they are saying to the school out there, where's the service? You got a line around the block at Montauk for the food pantry every Tuesday. Why is it only Tuesday? What are we doing here? What does it mean to you? If you have faith, I don't care what your faith is. If you are not acting for others, what is the sense of the faith? Oh, I told you I had a surprise for you, right? You want to see the surprise?
Yeah, this is a world debut right here.
This is one of the worst demonstrations of doing something meaningful during a hard time. My wife, put them outside. They're jealous. My wife decided to foster a puppy during the pandemic because like that was her way of helping. Now there's a new Cuomo, which is one of the ugliest little dogs I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, she's so cute.
It's a Chihuahua hot dog named Eliza, but I'm calling her T-Rex or Moose. So we have a new member of the family. This like 4, 5-month-old dog they found under a porch. And you know, the kill shelters, a lot of kill shelters in the South, that's how they get you. Is they send you the picture and they say, this dog dies in like, you know, X number of days. So I tried the everything dies argument. That didn't work. Then I tried the who am I, Noah argument. I already got 2 of these things. And now she's here. Not only is she here, she sleeps in my bed. Not only does she sleep in my bed, she doesn't seem to know that I don't even like her. So she attacks my face like it was like a badger or something. Like it was like, you know, the movie It or something like that. And she has to come after me. So I get assaulted by this 10 pounds of uselessness. Look at her using my hand as a shelf. Where does this sense of entitlement come from?
I think she's pretty cute in my opinion, but hey, I don't have her sleep.
Cute. Look at this. She looks like Gremlin.
She looks like Dobby.
She looks like Dobby from Harry Potter. Oh, Harry Potter. Harry Potter. What else you got for me?
Yeah, so I wanted to open it up. Any of the folks listening, you have an opportunity on the Q&A button to ask some questions. Let's fill those up. Chris is never shy to answer any questions, so fire away. Chris, I'm going to take one from a good friend of mine, Tom Talbert, a past president. Okay. Thank you for joining us in Detroit. As you look at the presidential election, one side is focused on law and order, and the other is focused on character. What do you make of the messaging platforms of the 2 candidates, and how are they working in your opinion?
I think the advantages go to this president. This is not a popular analysis. The big brains at CNN will tell me I am wrong with what I'm about to say, okay? But this is how I see it based on a very good empirical basis, all right? So I do a radio show for Sirius Radio, 2 hours, 5 days a week, 12 to 2, okay? POTUS channel, 124. I talk to like a dozen states every time I do it, all right? And I'm telling you, Trump is not supported because of himself and his personal qualities. He is symbolic of an outrage, a sense of being humiliated, a sense of being forgotten, a sense of being abused, and that is real. And it's real for brown people and white people, because our real issue is class as much as it is color. There are unique attributes that go to color and how we deal with systematic inequality here. And it's real. How we lend, how we hire, how we pay, how we educate, we see the same imbalances. That's systemic. Am I boring you? The question becomes how to harness it in the election. Law and order works because people get scared easily. You know, in politics or in whatever, in language and philosophy, we have the word demagogue, somebody who uses their fears and prejudices to mobilize them, galvanize them. You do not have a positive opposite of that term. This president is a demagogue, okay? I'll leave it to you to decide whether or not he has racial animus in his heart or anything. I'm just saying as practice, he plays to these things. It is very persuasive. Joe Biden, you said his message is character. I don't know, I guess it is. I would say it's as much normalcy as it is anything else, that Trump is just incompetent. You know, as much as competence is character. Who's doing better with it? Trump. Why? He should be getting killed in this election. He's got a pandemic, an economic collapse, and a social justice movement that sees him as inimical to its cause on his watch. And this is a tight race. It is within the margin of error in almost every state that counts.
Yeah, that's it. I'm nodding my head over here. I couldn't agree more there. Another question here from the crowd. Actually, while I sort through it, I've been dying to ask. As I was kind of preparing for this and talking to some of my colleagues, one thing kept coming up. So I have to ask it. What is Thanksgiving dinner like at the Cuomo household? Take me through that. How the dynamics, the conversations. Is there even a word to be had at that table, or a second of quietness to be had? I'm dying to know the dynamics there.
Well, it's all different now without Pop, which is really sad. He was the unquestioned focus of our existence. It was all about who was sitting around him, what he wanted to talk about, how he felt about things. Very hard to disagree with. Andrew and he were almost always aligned on most things. Nobody helped my father achieve political success the way my brother did, which is very unusual. That from such a young age, he had such a big influence. So my father and he were very tight. I was usually third man out, which was, also a function of being much more physically impressive and attractive and more talented as an athlete. So they were generally against me. Unfortunately for them, I also had spent a lot more years fight training. So basically, whichever way they wanted it to come, I was happy to serve it up, especially when it was almost always 2-on-1. But the reason I wound up doing this job is in large part moderating the blood feuds that would erupt at our table. But I'll tell you the truth of the dynamic is it's a matriarchy. My mother is in control of everything. The value in the Cuomo family is without question the women. My oldest sister is an oncology radiologist who is at the head of our understanding of food as medicine for cancer. My next sister runs one of the largest homeless housing organizations in the country. On the side, does documentaries. She's been in the final round of Oscar consideration several times. She introduced the topic of sexual harassment in the military. The Hunting Ground was this documentary she does that's famous now about what happens on campus. That's her. The next one was general counsel at UNICEF. And then wound up staying home with her kids because one of them needed her there. Especially. So they are the smartest, they are the most interesting, and they do the most for society. Andrew's making a good push there, though. He's done some great stuff recently in terms of helping us through a hard time. But it's, Italian, man, so it's big food. My wife's family is even more ethnic than mine. They're all first generation. So they're really smart people. I do very little talking at our holidays. I do a lot of listening, a lot of grunt work. I seem to be everybody's first choice to pick up heavy things and clean things. And for me, I'm in my personal life, a largely observational animal. I love seeing my kids having a good time with their cousins. There's 14 of us. And if you include my wife's side, there's 20 of us, 20 next generation kids, grandkids. And to see them having a good time, we had Thanksgiving here at this table. In this rental house, my wife and I had to take off from where we were in Southampton for her whole life, and for me, 25 years, because we were getting some real trouble. We were on the street there, and easy to reach, and people were coming and bringing the noise to us. So we had to move into the woods. So we had Thanksgiving here, and it was awesome. I'm the youngest in the family, so there are a lot of old people there too. So the dynamic can be a little robusto, depends on who's drinking what. But it is a typical ethnic thing. And everybody's keeping it real. You got a lot of Republicans, although they don't exist anymore. There are no Republicans and no Democrats. I say, they all get mad at me when I say this. They're just lefties and righties now. Their parties are a joke. We should have 5 parties at least in our society. You should have a real Labor Party. You should have a real originalist or constitutionalist or a Tory or whatever you want to call But the two-party system, well, it's about his money fight. And then a culture of opposition. You get in and you get points for keeping the other one from doing anything. I think it's time to go to a more representative sample situation where you have to power share. You want to move to a parliament? First of all, I don't think it would make a difference, but no, I just think that you should have real power sharing. So when I call the Republicans righties, they get mad at me. And when I call the Democrats lefties or, crazy, depending on what issue we're discussing, they don't like that either. If people knew my personal politics, they would be shocked. But my job is not to tell you what I think. It's to tell you what I make of what's being told to you.
That really resonates. Not the part of how successful your family is. I just sell ads onto your 9 o'clock show. That's all I do. So that really doesn't resonate. But
we need more auto guys. How do I figure out? I drive a Ford Raptor. You're in Detroit. I have a 69 Firebird that I've redone twice myself.
We've got
Once because I burned it out and smashed it into something a few years ago. But I'm all about cars.
We've got some coming, so you'll be happy.
I'll trade you a dog for a car commercial.
I've got some people on here that might be able to help you out with that. Now, that's really interesting and refreshing to hear, and that's why it was really important to have you on here and to talk to this ad community, because sometimes you do get lost in the back and forth of what you read and what you hear, and especially social media. I'm kind of mixing up some of these questions. Talk about social media and its impact on not just this election, but just society as a dad overall. My opinion is that social media, when used properly, can be a very powerful and important tool. When used incorrectly, is complete disaster. Where are we right now on that spectrum? And how, as marketers, how do we navigate that?
I think that's perfectly said. As a parent, it's a nightmare. Social media is a freaking nightmare because it exacerbates the already existing problem, which is who the friends are. It's hard enough when the friends are a phone call away. And if you're lucky, somewhat of an extension of your own friend group, or we develop friendships with our kids, friends, parents, so that we have some more connectivity, that's hard enough because they all lie, well, I'm just going over to hang out and watch some movies. Yeah, sure you are. And see how many White Claws you can drink in 15 minutes. So you had that problem. Now on social media, you don't know who the hell they're with. You don't even know if these are real people. We were just talking about this today. My wife does all the work, right? So she was monitoring the little one's TikTok, which they're TikTok dancing to these stupid, well, not stupid songs, but they're really vulgar songs. Yeah, you should leave that to somebody else, by the way. You look like you were having a seizure there for a second.
Yeah.
So our 10-year-old, she's into it because the Big Shot is into it. The Big Shot has a big following on TikTok, mostly because of me, is my suspicion. A couple of times she caught me before I stopped drinking when I got COVID, and she'd come up and start dancing, and I'd give a couple of flexes. All of a sudden, she's got 3 million views. And to her, they're all nice. To me, they would echo view it on mine and then attack me. I don't do TikTok. But, who's following that? What are all these mean people that we can't control and we don't know where they exist? These influences that they want to follow. The overt sexuality of things that kids aren't ready for. That in general, social media tends to be a vent zone. Now, are there offsetting opposites? Absolutely. The immediacy, the group dynamic, the ability for an even playing field for people. No question that there are offset potential benefits. But I think that it is a fair appraisal to say at this point in our cultural development, social media for parents, problem. Social media for journalists, problem. Because 20 people telling me that I should get rid of this dog should not be enough for the Washington Post to write a piece. And too often it is now. Why? Because it's easy. Because it's easy. And negativity is used as a proxy for insight. And if you want negativity, you just go online. I will give this dog one thing. It does not shed the way the other two do. It sheds less. That is the only virtue that it has.
Got to keep her. Well, hey, Chris, I know you've got you've got a busy day, to say the least. I've got to go sell more ads on your show.
Car ads. Who is this Dwayne Johnson guy? Why did they do a deal with him in Ford? I don't understand it.
We'll work on that. We'll work on that. I want to put you on the spot real quick before we wrap, and maybe I'll do this. I can't thank you enough for doing this, for being the voice that you are on CNN, and for doing everything that you do. Personally, I really appreciate it. Thank you for spending the last hour with us. We all appreciate it.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. So you want to put me on the spot? What do you got?
Here we go. So everyone's dying to know. Actually, maybe I'm dying to know.
Just you. Yeah. Right.
Okay. I know you know this might not be the right thing to ask for a prediction of what's going to happen here near the end of the year, but will the Detroit Lions make the playoffs this year?
Yes.
Wow, you heard it here first.
I'll tell you why. One, I'm an optimist. Two, I love several dimensions of who you have running your offense now and how. Three, I was a Jets fan my entire life, so I always believe in the promise of tomorrow. This is my first year where I am not a Jets fan for two reasons. One, they've made too many bad trades and sucked for too long, but I never quit on anybody. So secretly, I'm hoping that when I say I'm not with them anymore, they'll get good as if it was going to hurt me, but then I'll jump right back on the wagon.
I know that all too well. And listen, it's probably better for your health that you're taking a year off.
Little dog doesn't like my loyalty play. Shut up.
Hey, Chris, thanks so much. Continued thoughts and prayers on your health. I know we're thinking about that. And again,
I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm getting better. We just have to be more aware because people are going to need us.
Amen. I now consider you an honorary Adcraft member. And please, next time you're in Detroit, you're always welcome to come talk to this crew. We'd love it.
Hey, look, I'm always available. I believe in the synergy between the business side and the editorial side. Of course, I'm not going to cut anybody a break. I wouldn't be doing any advertiser a favor by giving them a break because they just get piled on. You want fair treatment from the people you're advertising on. I think one of the strongest brand plays ever is when a brand is in the news and it's advertising on the show that's kicking its ass at the same time. Because I think it shows brand awareness and confidence in what you're about and that you are ready to be held to account because you stand behind what you are and what you do. And, you know, we used to ignore that. We would never do anything like this. That was a mistake. It was time to evolve. You do more good for people by doing well. And you do well by having people believe in you and wanting to advertise on your show. But I'll never do you a favor, but I'll do my best.
Well, you did me a huge favor today, so thank you so much. And I think that wraps the hour. Adcraft, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and we will see you. We'll see you next week for our next day show installment. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great week. See you, Chris.
See you, brother.